Islam Makhachev. Fuck, dude goes up one weight class, goes up to 170. He was the 55-pound most dominant champion ever, most title defenses at 55 ever. Just dominates at 170, like every round. People are saying it's boring, but listen, man, it's boring if you're a casual. The fact that he was able to do it every round, it was a little frustrating because you wanted Jack to try to adjust, but he couldn't, man. Islam shut his game down right away. He low kicked the shit out of his front leg real quick, had him limping real quick. Like within the first round, he had hit it 3 or 4 times. Bad.
Islam Makhachev didn't just move up a weight class. He walked into welterweight like he'd lived there his entire life. One division higher, 1 week's notice for his opponent, and he still dominated every minute with a level of control that felt less like a fight and more like a warning. Casual fans called it boring, but anyone who truly understands the sport saw something different, terrifying efficiency. The kind of performance that reveals a gap no welterweight is prepared to close. Because what happened that night wasn't just a win, it was the start of something much bigger.
This is exactly the game plan, you know. I just told us I'm in a podcast. You can see in the Instagram what we did, the drills inside the locker room. I kick the calf. When he changed the stand, I go the double. Like he even not like sprawl, you know, because this is the plan. And in the ground, we know what he have to some sprawl, couple things, and I just block them and make this easy, you know.
Even though Islam was like being very physical to get these takedowns, Jack was losing that battle of attrition, being on his back. You know, he had grimaces the entire time. The pressure of Islam must be something crazy. It is all the hype it's built up to be. It is just next level, much like Chimaev. They're just sticky fellas. Every time Islam would take Jack down, Jack was just getting gassed, defending the submission attempts, trying to move him off him. And then when they got back to their feet or started the round again, his jabs just didn't have the pop and crispness.
Before this fight, Islam Makhachev was already a problem, the most dominant lightweight of his era, racking up title defenses at 155 like he was collecting rent. But moving to welterweight exposed something people weren't ready to admit. He didn't just bring his power up a division, he brought an evolved version of himself. The strength is there, sure, but the real leap is his mind. His timing, his reads, his ability to shut down entire game plans before opponents even launch them, that's what makes him dangerous now. And then there's the striking. Khabib used his hands as a doorway to the takedown. Islam uses them as a weapon on their own, clean, confident, calculated. Head-kicking champions trading in the pocket and looking completely unfazed by bigger men. But welterweight fans still miss the most important sign.
Jack Della Maddalena, welterweight champion, months of training, and they want me to go over there and beat Islam in 1 day notice. Like, that's impossible, right? But I think you spot on what you say. Like, if you give Islam space, he's gonna get you in a submission. So the best thing you can do is just survive the round. But that's the problem. First round, and then you got tired, and then the second round, and and then on the fifth, motherfucker was crying. I don't know if you saw that. JDM looked like he was crying, like the frustration.
Just defeated mentally.
Yeah, defeated mentally. And man, that shows how good Islam is and how good Khabib's camp is, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Double fucking champ, brother.
Islam didn't waste a single second showing Jack Della Maddalena what real pressure feels like. Before JDM could even find his rhythm, Islam tore into his lead leg with low kicks he had literally drilled backstage minutes before walking out. The same exact sequence, the same timing, it was like watching someone execute a rehearsed blueprint on a live opponent. Within the first round, JDM's stance was compromised his balance off and his reactions slow enough to expose something deeper: panic. Jack wasn't countering, he wasn't adjusting, he was simply surviving. Every time he tried to reset, Islam forced him right back into defense, draining his energy with suffocating control that never let him breathe. His jabs lost their snap, his footwork faded, and you could see the exhaustion creeping into his face. But physical punishment wasn't even the real story.
You see that face that JDM had right there? So watch this face. Pause right here. Boom. Right there.
Yeah.
There's that face of, I'm trying to fight, but this dude can't freaking let me. And that right there is when you start to...
I don't really feel it was my role as a coach in that fight to technically guide Jack. He knew what he was supposed to do. On that day, I feel like Jack needed kicking in the arse. And I felt like that was what my job as a coach was. He throughout the whole camp, we had a good camp. You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make any excuses. You know, we had a good camp, and his last session, his fight simulation session, was great, and we were excited and positive coming into the fight. It's just tough sometimes. I still firmly believe.
By the championship rounds, the fight had stopped being about technique. You could see it in Jack's face, the frustration, the disbelief, the look of a man trapped in a fight he couldn't escape. At one point, he looked seconds away from tears, not because of pain, but because of the crushing realization that nothing he tried made a dent. Defending for more than 20 minutes breaks anyone. Every scramble, every failed escape, every moment, Islam glued himself on top, chipped away at Jack's confidence until there was nothing left to rebuild. Even his own coach admitted it afterward. Jack didn't need more technical adjustments. He didn't need a new tactic. He needed someone to light a fire under him, a kick in the ass, as he put it. But that spark never came. Islam's pressure doesn't just exhaust bodies, it suffocates belief. And this is exactly how Dagestan produces monsters.
I imagine being Khabib, you know, just your proteges is coming in.
And Khabib's even better than him.
Right.
That's what's so crazy. That's how good those guys are. I mean, but Khabib's not better stand-up, though. Islam has really good stand-up. Like, his stand-up, Khabib's stand-up was a means to an end. It was like, his stand-up was to crack you so he'd get a hold of you and fuck you up, just drag you to the ground and smash you. That was Khabib's move. But Islam is fucking KOing people, man. It's different.
Yeah.
He's different. He's head-kicking Volkanovski. It's like a different level of stand-up.
Yeah, Khabib said, you're going to be better than me.
Crazy.
Them Dagestani boys is here to stay.
You know what's crazy, dude? Bilal Muhammad, you know, who was the champ at welterweight, went down to Dagestan and trained with those guys. And he was like, I thought I trained hard. I really did. I thought I trained hard until I trained with those guys. They pray 5 times a day. They're super religious. There's no gambling. There's no drinking. There's no partying. There's just training. Just training and training with a bunch of fucking animals. Eating together, training together, just getting after it every day. And then it's iron sharpens iron, because everyone who comes out of there is a fucking killer.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, you got to be real.
Most people don't want to live that life.
Yeah, and they don't forgive the disrespect.
No,
You know?
they just fucked Dylan Dennis up this past weekend. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, that was the fight in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
don't forget.
You gotta watch what you say,
bro. And they're, you know,
them Dagestanis, they not talking shit for promotional purposes.
No.
You gotta be real careful.
No.
Yeah, because they're different kind of people. I forget that sometimes. Like the people that are like ultra competitive.
Totally different kinds of human beings, man.
It doesn't go away.
Their drive it's like, you don't understand it. You don't live it, you know?
Yeah.
And like wrestlers, like elite wrestlers, are the only people that train the way like Khabib and his crew train. Like in any other combat sport, like if you're coming over from kickboxing and, you know, and then you want to fight MMA and, you know, you think I've already trained like an animal already. Like,
yeah.
There's a difference. There's a difference in the kind of exhaustion that you get from like hardcore wrestling training. And that's something that these guys have.
To understand why Islam fights the way he does, you have to understand where he comes from. Dagestan isn't a place built around nightlife ego or distractions. There's no partying, no gambling, no drifting off the path. Life there is a cycle of prayer discipline and relentless training. Success isn't celebrated, it's expected. The bond between teammates feels more like a family oath than a gym membership, and every session is a quiet battle for survival. Iron sharpening iron day after day. Bilal Muhammad once said he thought he trained hard, until he went to Dagestan. Then he realized there's a different kind of pace, a different kind of suffering, and a different kind of accountability. You can't hide, you can't coast, and you can't lie to yourself. That pressure builds champions the same way mountains build diamonds. But the secret isn't just how they train. It's what they refuse to forgive.
Think that there would ever be, like, do you think Conor could ever apologize to Khabib and like bury the hatchet? Or is it too?
He would have to, it would have to be in private, and he would have to really mean it, man. You know? He would have to really mean it, and you'd have to convince Khabib that you really meant it. And that it was all, you know, because he just doesn't play that game, that talking shit to sell a fight game. He doesn't play that game.
Especially when it comes to like his wife, his people.
Oh, everything, man, everything.
I saw a clip of DC saying like he had like Conor on his show one time, and Khabib was like, no, what's that about? Yeah, like that's my enemy.
Right. And you're my friend.
Yeah. And you know, DC was like, oh yeah, I didn't look at it that way, but I had to check myself. Like,
yeah, because if you're a journalist, if you're doing a podcast, you're gonna have some people on that don't like people that are close to you. But you gotta that can only go to a certain level. You know, if someone is your like sworn enemy, and this other guy's your training partner and your brother, you can't really have that guy on.
Oh yeah, of course not. Yeah. Absolutely not. Like there's no scenario where Khabib is going to be friendly with John Jones because he knows the history. Like he might be respectful, but he ain't gonna catch him kicking it.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, I think John and DC have pretty much buried the hatchet.
Really?
Yeah, I think they have. I think they communicated. I think they've had some interaction. You know, it's like, look, when you have two bitter rivals like that, and one guy comes out on top. It's just always going to be that way. Always, forever.
If I ever have a son, I'm just dropping him. As soon as he's hit puberty, I'm dropping him off in Dagestani. Say, leave him here, forget.
That's the thing they always say. Take him to Dagestan, 2-3 years, forget.
Yeah, for real.
For real.
Then he comes back telling you what to do.
There's a reason fighters talk tough with almost everyone except Dagestanis. Their culture doesn't treat trash talk as entertainment. Loyalty, honor, and respect aren't negotiable, and when someone crosses those lines, it's not just promotion anymore. We saw it with Dylan Dennis recently. One careless moment in a crowd, and suddenly he was reminded in real time that Dagestanis don't play the hype game. It's simple disrespect their family, their culture, or their religion, and they don't let it slide. Ever. That's why Khabib's feuds don't fade with time. He's the type who carries a grudge like a badge, not out of anger, but out of principle. He doesn't forget, and he doesn't pretend for the cameras. This mindset shapes every fighter from that region, including Islam. You can't get under their skin because they take everything literally and personally. Exactly why some rivalries can never heal, and that's why the Conor question will never die. Conor McGregor could apologize 100 times on camera and it still wouldn't move Khabib an inch. For that bridge to even begin to rebuild the apology would have to be private, genuine, and stripped of all theatrics. Khabib doesn't play the media game. He's not swayed by PR moves, scripted moments, or public displays meant to look humble. He cares about intention, not headlines. Even Daniel Cormier admitted he almost crossed a line without realizing it having Conor on his show and forgetting that to Khabib, loyalty doesn't bend. DC had to check himself because Khabib's code isn't flexible, it's absolute. That's why DC and John Jones were eventually able to bury the hatchet. But Khabib's feud with Conor remains untouched. Some rivalries fade, this one calcified. But this wasn't just about grudges, the welterweight division is now in chaos. Welterweight was already a minefield before Islam showed up. Kamaru Usman still lurking with championship instincts. Shavkat Rakhmonov quietly steamrolling everyone put in front of him. Bilal Muhammad demanding the shot he earned. And Jack Della Maddalena, even after the loss, refusing to step aside. It was a crowded, chaotic circle, until Islam stepped into it and flipped the entire hierarchy upside down. Because here's the truth, his arrival doesn't just add another contender, it threatens to reorder the entire division. And the scariest part, there's an even bigger problem waiting in the shadows, Shavkat. Another quiet, calculated, emotionless destroyer built with the same pressure discipline and relentlessness that made Dagestan famous even though he's not from there. Style-wise, he's a nightmare no one wants to admit is coming. Now the UFC faces a matchmaking puzzle with no clean answer. Every pairing destroys momentum, every matchup kills a contender, and just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, after dismantling a top welterweight, Islam didn't call out a rival, he called out a location. Not Madison Square Garden, not Abu Dhabi, the White House. It sounded surreal, almost theatrical, but he meant every word. If it happened, it would be the biggest political sporting crossover in combat sports history. A global statement. A symbol of the UFC's evolution from cage fighting to cultural influence. The stakes would be massive international attention, political debate, and the UFC cementing itself as a worldwide powerhouse. But the real question is, who stands across from him? Usman the former King Shavkat, the undefeated nightmare, Leon the calm technician, or Colby Covington, whose persona alone would turn the event into a wildfire? Islam isn't just chasing belts anymore, he's chasing legacy territory and moments that last decades. And if Islam truly wants the White House, he might already know exactly who's next.